All right, 1 2 1 2 in the place to be. What's up, everybody? I am Frank Red, and this is the In the Dungeon Show. I'm going to thank you for joining me in conversation. Definitely appreciate that. And I am excited about this particular show because we got a lot to talk about. The NCAA Tournament on the men's side has been nuts. I'm interested in hearing how your brackets are holding up. So far, so good. It hasn't been a whole lot of colossal upsets, but a lot of competitive games. And on the women's side, there's about 6 teams that, if you follow women's college basketball, you know who can win the whole thing. So we can talk about that as well. But what an exhilarating Sunday that we just had. Nail biters, a lot of subplots, a lot of stories that we're going to get into tonight. So if you got some thoughts about the NCAA, feel free to share your comments in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about certain things. I've lost one of my Final Fours thus far. I had St. John's making it to the Final Four, which obviously means that I had St. John's knocking off I won't say the prohibitive favorite, but one of the favorites, Florida Gators. And literally for 36 minutes in a 40-minute game, UConn outplayed Florida. And then, as opposed to Florida winning the game, give them credit because they did what they needed to do at the end to secure the victory. But I thought UConn lost that game. There were a couple of crucial plays at the end that they just did not make the right decision. Dara had an opportunity to draw a foul at the basket and score a layup to put them up 4 with probably, a minute 30 left, 1 minute. He stops and throws the ball back to a teammate to shoot the 3, and he misses. And then obviously, Caravan had a gateway layup, and for whatever reason, he decides to try to do a reverse on the other side. He didn't make it. And Walter Clayton Jr. Put on a show. They call him the Steph Curry of college basketball. Now, that sounds a little ridiculous, but what's not ridiculous is this young man can shoot. And I think he's going to have a really, really nice pro career. He was unbothered by the moment, and he led Florida to that victory. A lot of times when teams win games, you give the credit to the coaches, and that's kind of how the system works. But I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Great coaches make great players, right? Great coaches make great players better. Somebody said great coaches make great players champions. I don't know if I agree with that. You can be a great player and still not be a champion. So, I recently heard a coach say that, and I don't remember what coach said it, but I don't believe that. I think great players make great coaches. My name is Frank Red. How y'all doing out there? This is In the Dungeon Show. Hit the like button if you have listened in the past and you like what you hear. If you're new to the program and you like what you have heard thus far, hit the like button because it certainly helps get the show out there. I don't do a great job marketing the show. That's on me. But I'm getting better, all right? Follow me at Big Frank Red on Twitter, X, so we can talk about it, whatever's on your mind. Like I said, we got a solid show planned. We're going to talk NCAA Tournament. We're going to talk NBA basketball. The Golden State Warriors laid an egg last night. Gave up 40 points in the first quarter and lost to the Atlanta Hawks 124 to 115, I believe. And it's not like anybody was really surprised that the Warriors lost because Atlanta's a tough team at home. But even without Stephen Curry, you expect them to come out and live on their principles, which is defense. And they didn't do that last night. So, they're still in good shape. But Tuesday night's game against Miami is huge. Major game. And, subplots abound. Jimmy Butler going back to Miami. Andrew Wiggins being traded. He just scored 42 points, so it's not like, he's falling off the hill and not playing basketball. He's been injured, I think, but he wants to put 40 on the Warriors. So that's going to be a pivotal game because the Clippers, the Timberwolves, all those teams are breathing down the Warriors' necks, trying to get that number 6 seed. And the Warriors got to keep winning. They're 41-30, which means they have 11 games left, right? So what are they going to do in 11 games? 9-2 would be remarkable. If this team won 50 games, that would be crazy. I'm thinking maybe 8-3, 7-4. And I think because they have the tiebreak against Minnesota, they should be good for the 6th seed. But I don't see them getting the 4th or the 5th. We'll see. A lot of NFL news out there as well. People getting pissed off, waiting. The Pittsburgh Steelers waiting for Russell Wilson. I'm not, because they clearly are communicating. And he just visited Pittsburgh, so I think if Aaron Rodgers plays this year, it's going to be for the Steelers. I'm actually interested to see how that whole thing plays out. The odd man out is Russell Wilson because he doesn't really have a home to go to unless he goes to Tennessee. But I actually think this could play out well for Russell because at some point, unfortunately, somebody's going to get hurt. And he has an opportunity to step in there and play quarterback. Now, he probably wants to make $30 million a year. That's probably not going to happen for him this year. But does he really need the money? Should he need the money? It's nice. But Russell Wilson has been paid hundreds of millions of dollars. So I think he's going to be all right. At this point, it's a football decision. Does he want to play football? Let's go ahead and talk to my man, Steve-O. Steve-O, what's up? He says, but out of the forming, okay. Not quite sure what you mean by that. I'll reference the great George Foreman, legendary boxer. Obviously, they named a very popular grill after him, the Foreman Grill. He died at 76, I believe, on Friday. That's sad. He had 12 children. Won the world championship at the age of 46. Was a real tough guy. He wasn't one of these fake tough guys. George Foreman was a real tough guy. And I remember as a child watching him just terrorize people. Literally 6'3", 245, 250 as a boxer, throwing haymakers. That was the greatest era of boxing. Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, they were the standard. It's not like that anymore, but they were the standard. R.I.P. to George Foreman. One of the cool things about the NCAA tournament for me is, number one, seeing Caleb Love get some type of redemption because he's kind of a roller coaster. Let's be honest. When you follow college basketball, Caleb Love has been up and down throughout his career, but nobody has had bigger moments than Caleb Love. And he's having a moment again as a member of the Arizona Wildcats, leading them to the Sweet 16, went to the Final Four as a member of North Carolina. And I'm happy for him because his career has been so erratic. I think there's a lot of people who have written his NBA dreams off. But when his talent is on display, like it has been in the tournament thus far, you can't do that. He has too much talent. So he's definitely a two-way guy, I think. But it wouldn't surprise me if Caleb Love finds a way to tighten his game up and have a decent NBA career. And no one expected that to happen. So I'm happy for him. I'm also pretty impressed with Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd, the head coach of Arizona, has found a way to take all of that history that was started by Lute Olson. And I mean, Sean Miller did a really good job. He just didn't win anything big. But Tommy Lloyd, the long-time assistant of Gonzaga, has gone down to the Valley and shaped this program into an iteration that best exemplifies his coaching style. And I'm impressed with him. I was talking about my disdain about, the Pac-12 going away and all these teams from the West going to different leagues. And I got to kind of rethink that now, because Arizona actually is holding their own. They're doing a really, really good job. And if it's Pac-12, if it's the Big 12, whatever it is, Arizona is still viewed as, one of those blue blood programs. And I didn't know if they could do that. But they have thus far. Same can be said for Oregon. I knew Oregon football would be fine, but Oregon basketball, I guess, is going to also be able to sustain itself because it has the money behind them. But I wish they would bring back the Pac-12. Finally, some of the national talking heads are having conversations about how realignment really doesn't work for basketball. It kind of works for football, like the NFL, you travel once a week. But basketball, when you're playing sometimes 2-3 games in a week, doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. So, just my thoughts on that. Who's been most impressive to you thus far as a team? Who's been most impressive? Duke has been exactly what I thought they would be. I have Duke in my Final Four, me and everybody else in the world. But I don't have Duke winning it. I have the Michigan State, Draymond Green Spartans taking out the Duke Blue Devils. And was I a little nervous today? New Mexico gave them a nice run. Yeah, I was. But to win the NCAA, to me, you got to have great guard play. And I love Michigan State's guards. It actually takes me back to that Mateen Cleaves, Jason Richardson era where they had really, really good guards and serviceable bigs. I don't see a pro among their front court players. I just see a lot of good basketball players. But I see some pros in the backcourt, and they don't turn it over. They play exactly how Izzo wants them to play. So I think they got a real shot. Florida, I think you definitely have to consider them, and Duke. And people obviously would have to look at Houston because they've been so good for so long, and they get to the Final Eight every year. But I don't think that anything's going to change. I think Houston's going to come up short because they're going to have a game like St. John's had yesterday, where you literally can't throw the ball in the ocean. And I think that's going to be a problem for the Houston Cougars. But nothing but respect for Kelvin Sampson. Don't call him Kevin. Kelvin Sampson. You guys saw that bit when he was like, it's Gonzaga. It's not Gonzaga. My mother named me Kelvin, not Kevin. I hear you, Coach. On the women's side, to me, it's South Carolina all day, every day. Until somebody knocks them off. Their defense, their championship medal, to me, is going to drive them. And I'm going to ride with them. San Francisco 49ers. A lot of 49er fans out there that listen to the program. Or at least love football. Didn't a month ago the 49ers came out and say that they wanted to get Brock Purdy's contract done early? Was there? I mean, didn't I hit correctly? Well, it's not happening. And let me say this about the 49ers. The same thing that Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, to a lesser degree, Kyle Wycheck, the fullback, had to go through. When it comes down to writing a check, they squeeze harder than anybody. Now, if Brock Purdy is like, I need to make $60 million, I'm like, come on, dude. That ain't happening. But I don't think that he would let his agent ruin his career. I mean, I think he's living in the $50 million a year neighborhood with $100 million guaranteed. And the 49ers, I probably want to get him around 45. And that's not the going rate for a franchise quarterback. You think he's a franchise quarterback or you don't. Now, here's what I don't like. When Brock Purdy is playing, generally speaking, with the exception of one guy on the coverage of 49ers really closely, there's a big internet show, has always been kind of a contrarian with regards to Brock Purdy. He's always been that way. But most of the media heads have always been very complimentary when talking about Brock Purdy. His teammates got injured this year. He clearly didn't look as good. And, people started jumping off the bandwagon. But to me, he's the same player that he was when he was putting up monstrous stats. He's not that different. He's the same player. So I don't like how it feels like they pile on the guy when the organization is trying to squeeze him. The opinions of Brock Purdy are essentially like a roller coaster. They go up and down, with the exception of one guy. One guy has been stating that Brock Purdy isn't a top-tier quarterback for a long time. I've always said he was top 10, right? I think he is a top 10 quarterback. But when people were saying that he was better than Jalen Hurts, I was like, come on, man. No, not on my list. He's not better than Dak Prescott, to me. He's a top 10 quarterback, which is damn good. Well, you got, 32 teams in the NFL? And now they're trying to squeeze the guy. I don't like that. My man Keith says, what's up, Frank? The center for Kentucky, Williams, I believe looked great, spent his first 4 years at Drexel. I believe how good he is. I believe how good is he, and were you thinking? Okay. I got the understanding of it. The left-handed 7-foot guy, right? Yeah, I didn't particularly know where he came from, but I think he's a pro. I mean, he blocks shots, he runs the courts, he catches alley-oops. I think he'll probably get drafted somewhere between 20 and 30, which is pretty miraculous when you consider where he came from. But I'm like, how did Drexler get a player that good? You know what I'm saying? I was at a sports bar today watching the Florida UConn game. And it was in the back of my mind, but I did not remember. Walter Clayton Jr. played at Iona, recruited by Rick Pitino. That blew me away. It really did, because I love that guy. And I haven't looked at NBADraft.com until about 2 hours before I came on this show. And the first round board has totally changed. And Walter Clayton Jr. is now viewed as a first round pick, the shooter from Florida. No, I'm not comparing him to Stephen Curry. I know in college they call him the Steph Curry cop. No, I'm not doing that. But what I will tell you is his shot preparation, his mechanics, and his touch, that dude can shoot the lights out the ball. He won the game today for Florida. And he was at Iona last year. So talk about going from, a pretty good little mid-major school where you graduate and you get a nice little job to all of a sudden becoming a millionaire literally in like 9 months. I'm so happy for him. But you know who Walter Clayton Jr. reminds me of? He reminds me of Seth Curry, not Steph. He reminds me of Seth. Probably around the same size. They list him at 6'3", 4", probably 6'2.5", 6'3". Not really a point, can kind of bring the ball up. But in an offense that like the Warriors play, where there's a lot of ball movement and open shots, that dude would be an absolute killer. He would. And I look forward to seeing him play at the next level. Keys wants to talk about the women. Rightfully so. I'm rooting for USC because of Juju. She is amazing. Do they have a chance? Absolutely, they have a chance. I mean, they got two, top 5, top 6 talents in college when Iriafan, the former Stanford player, and obviously Juju. Juju's the best player in college. I mean, she's only a sophomore, but if the rules were different, she would be coming out and she'd be the #1 pick this year. But she's she is required to make millions for herself in college with NIL now, which is great, but a gazillion dollars for women's college basketball and USC. But she ain't hurting. So I'm happy for Juju. USC has a shot. I don't think they're going to win because they're not a great defensive team. There's not. They don't have one player on their team that I followed this year that is a great defender. Iriafan is pretty good, but she's an interior player, so she really can't impact the game defensively the way that players on, say, South Carolina can. Because they can get out on the perimeter and really get after you and speed you up and do things that USC can't do. USC, they're one bad shooting game away from getting knocked out. Now, if they shoot the ball, they got a chance. They got a real chance. I like the freshman guard they have, Heppel. She went to Long Island Lutheran. She plays good defense, and she's going to be a good player, but she's only a freshman. So I like USC. I would love to see Ivy get one at Notre Dame. I don't think they are quite there yet. I think UConn or South Carolina are going to win this year, which would be incredible if South Carolina won. That'd be 3 in a row. But I like UConn. I think UConn offensively is probably the most polished team in women's college basketball, in my opinion. Keith also says, Kentucky, 7 top scorers have come through the transfer portal this year. And that is a good thing, or just a sign of the times. I was actually talking to an assistant coach about a college opening before I came on air around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. And we were kind of talking about the state of college basketball and the portal. And he gave me some inside dope on how much money these guys are getting paid. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Millions. I like the portal personally. I like it because it goes back to your ability to evaluate talent. There's a lot of scrubs getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars who can't play. So if you, the head coach, and your coaching staff can't evaluate, and you're running out there with the alumni's money, just giving it away to players who have no heart and limited skill and are not ready for the bright lights, you're going to look real bad. You're going to look real bad. But if you can evaluate talent and spend your money wisely, you can have a top 20 program every year. What's bad is the major schools are raiding the mid-major programs. After they put all that work in, all those one-on-one coaching sessions, building confidence of players, and then the big boys come in and offer you a bag and you out of there. And, you know, that mid-major coach all of a sudden has lost their top 2-3 players, you know, and they're in a position where they might get fired that year when they were thinking that they had a team that could make it to the tournament. So is it fair? No, it's not fair. But life is not fair. I don't know how you work around it. I wouldn't feel great about it if people were rating my players if I was a mid-major guy. But the system is what it is at this point. And it works for teams like Tennessee that are solid. You know, they went and got Chaz Lanier. Chaz Lanier. Great player, great talent. From, I believe, Northern Florida, someone like that. This kid's going to be a first-round draft pick. So I like the fact that teams can remain relevant and be good. Look what Kentucky did. What? They got 7 portal players or 9 portal players? That's crazy. I don't know how you can be a fan. You know, if you're a fan of a team, you probably go dizzy trying to keep up with everything. Go out and talk to the great Vicky. She says, "Hi, Frank. I told you Michigan would make it to the next weekend. Their coach should be the coach of the year. Did you see the Oakland movie?" Not yet. Freaky Tales, right? Yeah, I'm going to check it out. Did you see it? And if so, let me know what you think. I'm definitely going to see it. But it wasn't at any of the theaters that I frequent. But I got to do a better job and scout it out because I want to be supportive. And it actually looks pretty good. So, no, I haven't seen it yet, but I am. I saw a movie this weekend I'm going to review that's called The Assessment. And solid movie, The Assessment. Great acting. You know, I love independent films and great stories. And The Assessment definitely has that. So, but yeah, the tournament. Let me know what your brackets are looking like. I'm in a pool. And I've been in a pool for 20 plus years. 20 plus years. This pool that I'm in, right? It was kind of a radio station pool. Started by one of my really good friends. The first year, maybe there was 50 people in the pool, right? And I've actually won it before. The pool now has 265 people at $20 a piece. The dollar amount doesn't change. Celebrities are in it. Former NBA players, well-known media types. Everybody loves this pool. It is a great pool. And we get into it every year. What I don't like about it now, it went from, oh, this person really knows about sports, to complete gambling. That's what it is now. And I don't like that. It's it's not necessarily about what you know. It's really gambling. You can have multiple entries in the pool. I don't like that either. You know? So you got people putting together pools to win the prize money. Now, the prize money is probably about $2,000. First place, you probably win about $2,000, maybe $2,500. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So I get it, but the odds of you winning now are very small because there's so many people in it, and there's so many people putting in, 5 entries, 4 entries. I don't like that. Pisses me off. But I still do it. My national champion is still in it, Michigan State. I got Michigan State beating Duke. And I had St. John's and who else do I have? Oh. My hefty bracket right here. Oh, I got Tennessee. Tennessee's never made it to the Final Four. Never. But I like this team. I like how the bracket works out. I got Duke, Tennessee, Michigan State, and I had St. John's. So your boy doing okay right now. Keys, what's up? Love seeing college kids getting paid and transfer portal giving them an opportunity to play and make money. Too bad our Bay Area schools are losing talent instead of getting it. Yeah. It is tough. I mean, I love what Randy Bennett has done at St. Mary's. I think he's a phenomenal coach, but they ain't breaking nobody's bank over there. Trust me, they ain't. Cal's never going to be a team that goes out and buys players. That's not going to happen. Stanford's, nah. The players are not smart enough. There's only, collectively speaking, I'm saying. So they're not buying any players because that's about academics there. They want really, really smart kids who know how to play basketball. They don't want really, really good players who will come in and struggle. So that's not in their playbook. So yeah, you're right. I mean, the only school that could literally come out of the woodwork is USF. USF could. I don't think they ever will because they're still smarting from what took place in the 70s. But hypothetically, if there's a rich tech person out there who went to USF and said, you know what? I'm tired of seeing them playing in the NIT. I want them to go to the tournament. Here's $50 million for your basketball program, men and women, or your sports program. USF would be in the mix. You got Chase right there. They would be playing, half their home games at Chase, paying big-time players big money. I mean, think about what Brigham Young just did. Brigham Young went out and essentially bought the #1 high school player in the country, AJ DeBonza. This kid is a beast. And it wouldn't surprise me if Brigham Young next year is not in the Final Four. So most schools out west are not going to do it, but USF could actually do it. They could do it. Vicky says, look out for Arizona. Vicky, I have Tommy Lloyd's name written down. He's the head coach, and I talked about him earlier. I'm impressed with Arizona. I mean, I really am. The kid, Connor Bryant? That dude is dripping with talent. Freshman, averages like 5-6 points a game. But you see the skill set, polished. If he came out this year of the draft, if he came out this year in the NBA draft, it'd be a first-round pick. He'd go to the top 25 picks, which is why I had some serious trepidation about the Warriors giving up a first-round pick for Jimmy Butler. I'm past it now. I'm past it. Cost of doing business. But I wish that they had a first-round pick in this year's draft. This year's NBA draft from 15 to 30 is amazing. Don't let anybody fool you. From 15 to 30 is really where the talent is in this year's draft. Vicky says, the great Bill Walsh wanted a couple of football players with beat average, and Stanford said no. Yeah, man. Yes. I bet he did. He wanted to win. I'm never going to speak negatively about an academic institution that has tremendously high standards. I'm not going to do that. So, I mean, you know, that's what Stanford is. Those student athletes are out there. You just got to compete against, you know, other universities, the Dukes of the world, the Ivy Leagues, and you can win there, obviously. I mean, you know, Stanford football has been tremendous over the past 20 years, all things being considered. But they've been really, really good with a very diversified roster. And when I have the brain freeze right now, the former Montana coach, Stanford basketball was good during the Mike Montgomery era. And they were very diversified. I mean, Reverend Knight came from Jersey, you know, smart guy, came from Jersey. So you can win anywhere. But at universities like Stanford and Cal to a certain degree, because Cal's a great school, you have to be selective, you have to hit home runs, and it's probably harder. Let's say Arkansas, but that's what it is, though. It's all good. No excuses. Key says, do you believe the Niners are willing to trade Purdy if his price is market-setting type money and they have a good offer? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Because they don't think he's that good. And that's, I mean, you know, they don't want to say it, but that's pretty much what they're saying. You're not that good in our eyes. There was a guy on Fox Radio, I can't think of his name now, here from New York. Carton, his name is. He was like, if I'm the New York Giants, I will trade 3 first-round picks for Brock Purdy. I'm like, are you out of your mind? You're going to trade the 3rd pick in the draft for Brock Purdy and 2 more first-round picks? That's ridiculous. I mean, I don't consider myself to be a football quarterback expert. I don't. I know football, but to say that I'm an expert at it, I would never say that. I guess I could trade Brock for a first-round pick if I am drafting 20 to 32, maybe 15 to 32. But Brock Purdy is a good quarterback who was elevated playing in a system that worked for his skill set. Nothing wrong with that. That's how Russell Wilson is probably going to be the Hall of Famer, because he played in an offense in Seattle that was complimentary of his skill set. You know, ain't no hate there. So I like Brock Purdy. But again, Brock Purdy to me is a top 10 quarterback. He's not a top 5, top 7. You know, that's loony talk. When you have an opportunity to get a talent like Joe Burrow, you just give him a blank check. Josh Allen, give him a blank check. You know, Lamar, pay Lamar whatever he wants. You know, those guys. Jalen Hurts got exactly what he should get. Got a hell of a contract that is commensurate with his talent level. I just don't like the way the 49ers always squeeze people. Don't get mad at them. Don't hold the players accountable for bad drafts, for your miscalculations on how you assess players. I see that a lot. I don't like that. Vicky says, do you think Joe Montana was a great QB or a system quarterback? Joe Montana was a great quarterback all day. And again, while I'm not an expert, I watch a lot of football and I play football. And Joe Montana, unlike Steve Young, was successful in organizations not named the San Francisco 49ers. Literally, Joe Montana went to KC after multiple surgeries, hurting, and led that team to the playoffs. I want to say multiple years, but he looked damn good as a member of the KC Chiefs when they were nothing like the 49ers. I also, I saw Joe Montana play at Notre Dame. Joe Montana was a beast, an absolute beast. And like Steve Young, I think Steve Young was really good at other sports as well. Joe Montana supposedly was a hell of a basketball player in Pennsylvania. 6'3", legit 6'3". So Vicky, he's a great player. Joe Montana's a great player who got coached up by Bill Walsh and became historic. He's my GOAT when it comes to football. Not Tom Brady. It's Joe Montana, to me. Key says, the rumor is pick swap with Giants. We move up to 3, and they get the 11 plus. We get, come on, man. Keith, you would do that like yesterday, right? Come on. Come on. If you're the Giants, you're gonna give up the 3rd pick for a quarterback that is immobile? He's not a mannequin, but to say Brock Purdy is a mobile quarterback is insane. He knows how to negotiate the pocket. He's small. You think losing Saquon Barkley was the worst move the Giants ever did? Trading the 3rd pick and pick swaps with the 49ers and giving the 49ers 2 first round. What are you trying to do? Bankrupt the organization? Listen, if that's on the table, Lynch, Shanahan, and everybody else is going to send a limousine to Brock Purdy's house and drive him to the airport, pack his bags and everything else. You don't do that. Unless you're the 49ers. If you're the Giants, you don't do that. I got a special place for the Giants too, you know that, because the original owner, Mr. Mara, RIP, went to Fordham. I used to come to my basketball games. I went with my teammates also. I didn't play by myself. So, and I'm a Parcells guy. Bill Parcells is my favorite coach of all time. So I like to see the Giants do well. They're in a tough place right now. I would not do that. If I'm the Giants, if Hunter is available, I'm drafting Hunter. I'm drafting Travis Hunter if I'm the Giants, if he's available. And I'm just going to have a wild and crazy year with Jameis Winston. I'm just going to roll with Jameis. Listen, if Dable is the quarterback guru, that I'm sure he believes he is, and everybody thinks that he is, make Jameis better. I love the talent level that Jameis Winston has is crazy. The former Heisman Trophy winner, talk about a gunslinger. You know, he is the original gunslinger. I mean, I love that signing. He's going to blow New York up. I would just ride with Jameis and coach him up. I mean, think about this. Geno Smith resurrected his career when people did not even want him to be a third-string quarterback. He goes to Seattle, gets coached up, matures, and becomes a gazillionaire. And a multiple-time All-Pro. And somebody who is respected. What is Geno? Geno's what? Geno got to be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. Top 20 at the least, but I would say he's probably top 15. I think Jameis Winston could really put together a year where he's all pro. He's just been reckless. But talent-wise, I'm a big Jameis guy. Key says, the Giants are in dysfunction. Sad to see. They are a storied franchise. They are a storied franchise. Yes, they are. Do you think Mac Jones is better than Brock Purdy? No, I don't. Do I think you can win games with Mac Jones? Yeah, I do. I think you can win games with him. Is he better than Brock Purdy? I don't think so. Because this is what I see from Mac Jones. Mac Jones has a lot of heart. He can read defenses. But emotionally, he gets overwhelmed. Brock Purdy's worst day is like getting an A on a test for Mac Jones. When things go bad for Mac Jones, they go bad. I'm talking catastrophic bad. And that's kind of what I'm worried about, because the league knows that, and they'll heat you up. They will heat you up. And without having a tremendous offensive line, if they see Mac Jones out there, they're going to light him up. Now, is he an upgrade? Yes, he is an upgrade. Former first-round pick. Talented guy. But he hasn't shown me that he can be a starter for a good team in the NFL. He's slower than Brock Purdy. He might be more accurate, though. I mean, you know, he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's not. But in an era where movement of the quarterback is essential because the defensive units are so fast and so ferocious, he's kind of a throwback dinosaur type of player. You know, can you win some games with him? Yes. Do I want him to be my quarterback for 16 games? No, I don't. I don't want that. Absolutely not. So if they trade Purdy, who's going to be their quarterback? It would be Mac Jones. That's who would be the quarterback. But there's the game within the game, Vicky. If they trade Brock Purdy, what they're saying is our financial stability is the most important thing right now. We want to win. People can still get fired, but we're worried about or we're focused on the bottom line. Now, Grant Cohen, I think it was Grant Cohen 2 weeks ago, put out a video that I thought was really interesting. And I'm going to paraphrase, but I can get deep into it. But essentially what he said was the 49ers organization owns a soccer team in Europe that they're trying to get into the first division. And a lot of the money that the 49ers makes in all of their businesses goes into a pot. And you can use that money in football operations, you can use it in soccer operations, or whatever other businesses that they have. And Grant said, Cohen, that they're focused on putting their financial resources into this soccer team in Europe to get in the first division. Not an insane or ridiculous or illogical statement. So it just got me thinking about it. I don't have any facts. I don't know about it. A guy who covers the 49ers pretty closely made that statement, put it out there. I was like, When you look at what they're doing from a football perspective now, they're not spending a whole lot of money, are they? Now you can say they're not doing it fundamentally because they gave the bank card to Shanahan and Lynch, and they were reckless with it. Yeah, they kind of had some bad luck also. Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. He had not been hurt since he was a member of the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk signs a big contract and he gets hurt. Nobody can plan when a player gets hurt. So I think the 49ers' woes last year was more of an aberration as opposed to a reality. I didn't like losing a Dre Greenlaw. Didn't like that. Ufunga, I saw that coming because he's a good player, but they have Mustafa. So I wasn't overly concerned about that. They got some decent young players, but I could see them making some decisions saying, listen, we got to develop some guys. I'm interested to see who they draft at running back. Because they let Mason go. Mitchell obviously signed for big money somewhere else. So then at running back, I want to see who they're going to bring in here. I don't mind new blood. I don't. I mean, football is a sport where you got to be quick to the draw. I mean, Bill Walsh had been talking about this mentality for years. And a lot of organizations, for whatever reason, are reluctant to do it. Primarily because it doesn't work for most teams. You got to be really keen in terms of your evaluations. And a lot of organizations are not. Pittsburgh Steelers are. The Baltimore Ravens are. The Green Bay Packers are. The Rams now, over the past 5 years, have been excellent. So you got to have people in positions who continuously bring in talent in the later rounds that can become all-stars. Keith says Mac Jones is Garoppolo 2.0. Doesn't look as good. Jimmy G. The Warriors look like they will be in the play-in. Hate to see it. We were playing so well. Nah. Why do you say that, Keith? Vicky says, OKC helped the Warriors tonight. Who did they beat? The Clippers? They beat the Clippers, right? Yeah. Keith, you're using reverse psychology. You're like, Red, if I'm really, really negative, then the opposite will happen. Nah, just believe in your team. The Warriors, yeah, I think are going to get the 6th seed. The 5th and the 4th seed is kind of loony talk. I think they're going to hold on to the 6th seed because I think the Clippers won't have as many wins. So the tiebreaker won't matter. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be kicking themselves because at the end of the day, the Timberwolves and the Warriors are both going to have 48 wins. They're going to be tied with the Warriors, and the Warriors are going to win the 6th seed because they have the tiebreaker. And I'm okay. get into the playoffs. Get into the playoffs. If anybody thought the Warriors were going to have the 6th seed this year, you should go straight to Vegas right now, because not many people did. I was hoping. I thought that they would win 48 games max, no less than 44 wins. So they're right where I thought that they would be. The Lakers are dropping like a stone. Yeah. That beatdown that they had against the Bulls on Friday was shocking. Chicago put up 145 points on the Lakers. I'm happy for my boy. I'm happy for Bill. You know, Chicago's won 7-9. And here's the thing about Billy Donovan as a coach. This is how good he is as a coach. Billy can win games, right? Be very competitive and develop players. And that's what you want to see. You want a coach who's going to win and develop players. Billy's done that. So, you know, Chicago's kind of setting themselves up to hit some home runs in the draft. We'll see if we do it. Well, I mean, we'll see if they do it. They're never like a really high spending organization. They don't do that. They don't do it. They're a business. The Bulls run their team like a business. You know? I think the Bulls are like, listen, in the grand scheme of things, you all got to catch up. You know? We won championships. We're still living off of we're still eating off of that. I don't know when they're going to get full. They're still eating off of that. The Bulls have not been really good since the Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler era. When you look at that, think about that Chicago team for a second. They had Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, and probably a couple other pretty good players as well. Did they have OG Bobby Portis on that team? I don't remember. Maybe he hadn't got there yet. But they've had some dudes. They've had some dudes. With no Steph and our schedule is tough, I'm worried, that's all. And that's logical, but you know what? Steph is playing on Tuesday, dude. I think he's going to play on Tuesday. And I've had that injury before. I'm going to tell you when I had that injury. And it's basically just formed on your tailbone. And as long as you don't crack the bone, it just hurts like a mother. You have a real bad bruise. There's no skin there. You know that. You know? And you fall right on your tailbone. And it is painful. I did it one time. I was fortunate enough. I played on an NIT All-Star team. And we went to Korea, right? Seoul, Korea. I actually won a gold medal on this team. And it was kind of a pre-Olympic tournament, if you will. And we were playing a team from Korea. And I go up for a rebound, and the guy undercuts me, and I go straight down like a block of cement, hitting the ground. Bam! And it hurt like hell. And you know, I played the next game because I was stupid, you know, and I wanted to play. I was crazy. I wanted to play that bad. So I played the next game, and I was in a lot of pain, but I did play. Obviously, Stephen Curry was not going to do that, but you know, it's been a couple of days now. They have a couple of days off. They don't play until Tuesday. What they don't want to happen is he get re-injured. I don't think they can beat Miami without him. So I think you worrying about them going into a tailspin makes sense. I don't think they can beat Miami without Stephen. I don't. New Orleans, maybe. I think they probably could on Friday. But they play Tuesday and they play Friday. Friday's game is worrisome because they got all of that time. They have all of that time now from Saturday night to Tuesday in Miami. You know what's going down tonight. You know what's going down tomorrow night. So those road trips will get you. And then they go to New Orleans after that. With all that money those guys have. I call those wives trips. Mandatory. Everybody must bring your significant other on these trips. Otherwise, it's tough. Vicky says, you didn't comment on my Michigan team. I'm sorry. It was said they were only going to win 6 games this year. I'm proud of Michigan and the coach. Well, the reason why, first of all, Vicky, Michigan is Final Four good. I don't think they can win the national championship, but they're Final Four good. The center that they got from Florida Atlantic, who came over with Dusty, got the first-round pick. He's legit. The kid Wolf, the 7-footer that they got from Yale, is a pro. And again, it's the reason why I didn't want the Warriors to give up a first-round pick, because this kid Wolf, who is a legit 7-foot point forward, and he's tough, perfect for the Warriors team. And guess where he's going to be drafted? Somewhere between 13 and 18. The center is good, but he's kind of a low post player. The type of guys that the Warriors develop. This kid Wolf is a real diamond in the rough. And he's not going to be drafted in the top 5, top 7, because he's not real athletic. So if you miss on him, everybody gets fired. The whole scouting department gets fired. But if you draft him at 15 or 16 and you give him the 3 years that he needs to acclimate himself to the physicality of the NBA game, you have a real player. Hitting that bone is worse than a break. Yeah, like you said, it hurts. Like Steph flew to be with the team today. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those injuries, Vicky, where and maybe you sustained that injury. It's a bruise. So with treatment, the bruise starts to go down. The blood starts to recirculate. And the pain meter goes down. And it becomes a point of, what is your pain threshold? That's what it comes down to. Some players have really high pain thresholds and some don't. There's not many players in the league that's tougher than Stephen Curry to me. I know how tough that guy is. So I think he's going to play. Because he knows, like what Key said, like what you know, and everybody listening, these are pivotal games. The Warriors have 11 games left. I don't care who you play in the NBA. When you play on the road and you win, it's tough. It's really tough. So, and with Pat, you think Pat Riley likes being embarrassed? Because that Jimmy Butler trade, some might say Miami got fleeced. I don't think they did get fleeced. I think Wiggins is a good player, and they got a pick. They got a first-round pick. And they devalued Jimmy Butler's value They did that. So the Warriors were just taking advantage. The Warriors were taking advantage of the miscues that they made. So, you know, there was only a couple of teams who had the financial wherewithal to give Jimmy what he wanted. And the Warriors were one of those teams. And they benefited. Now, I don't think many of us knew how diversified Jimmy Butler's game is. I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was as smart as he was. I didn't know that he was as smart as he is. I didn't know that he had all these other skills. Because when I watch Jimmy Butler on other teams, I view him as a solid defender and a scorer. But he's so much more than that. Great passer, great screen setter, understands time and sequence, like Draymond, like Stephen, like Kerr. This dude is one of the best all-around players in the NBA. The Warriors got to win 9 out of 11. That's tough. Wolf looks better than TJD. I don't know what happened to TJD. He just looks lost. Well, let me say this, Vicky. He's fine. He's fine. The only thing that's not working in his favor is he's incurred, I don't want to say doghouse, but he's been relegated to Kerr's bench. That's all. And there might come a time this year when the Warriors need him and he gets playing time, he steps up and he plays his tail off. So I think the Warriors view Trayce Jackson-Davis as a player who they can put in the icebox. He wasn't a first-round pick. He doesn't make a whole lot of money. So, you know, they really don't have to do anything with him because he doesn't have any leverage. Is he probably, you know, depressed, sad? Maybe. But he has to remain professional. I think he's fine. I think he missed an opportunity early on and Quentin Post stepped in there and took advantage like any other person would do. And Trayce just has to rebuild his opportunities. But, you know, I think he's playing for a great organization. Kerr is hard to play for as a young player. But I think at the end of the day, he's going to relish this opportunity and still get a check because I think he's a good player. I mentioned this earlier, but let's do it again. RIP George Foreman, the oldest man at 45 to win the heavyweight championship belt. Amazing life. Yeah. No question about that. Vicky says, the thing I love about Jimmy is that he gets fouls called. Yeah, he does. Because his head is up. His head is up. He knows how to draw contact. He likes contact. And the other thing about Jimmy, Vicky, is he's not a complainer. So he doesn't really complain to referees. And they respect that because they make bad calls. You know, they make bad calls. And he doesn't complain. So I think they give him the benefit of the doubt when it's marginal. Because I saw, not against Atlanta, but the last game they played at home against Milwaukee. Okay. He got fouled 3 or 4 times when the referee didn't call anything. And he was clearly fouled. But he didn't bitch him on. He just ran back down the court. And I think officials like that. I really do. Let me talk about a couple of things. Rapid fire. RJ Lewis, Big East Player of the Year, shot 3 for 17 in St. John's loss to Arkansas. It could be a big deal with Rick Pitino benching him. I hope that it's not. He's only a sophomore. He was clearly embarrassed. He was mad. I think Rick Pitino was probably flexing. You know, I'm the coach, you're a player. I don't care. I'll put you on the bench. There was something there. It can't be just because he shot 3 for 17. I don't know if it's a conversation between coach and the player. I don't know. But I hope that they get past this. And he comes back in his junior year and has another stellar year. Because this whole situation can go south now. He could transfer and go get a bag somewhere and not be relevant. He could try to come out in the draft and people could put some salt on him, you know, and that could really hurt his draft status, and then his college career is over. You know, so I'm hoping that there's a happy ending here. I didn't like the look yesterday, but this might be some of the adversity that he has to deal with in his life. He has to make the right decision. Pretty impressed with Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. He's resurrected Caleb Love's career, and he trusted him in ways that Hubert Davis didn't. After Caleb Love was instrumental in helping North Carolina get to the Final Four, they basically showed him the door. And he came out to the West Coast, to Arizona, and he put on for them. And now they're in the Sweet 16 because he's playing the best basketball of his career right now. So I want to big up Tommy Lloyd and Caleb Love. I also want to salute Jalen Rose. Now, Jalen Rose was at ESPN damn near 20 years, right? Made a whole lot of money from ESPN. And when he got fired, I think most people thought that, you know, maybe be a local broadcaster for the Detroit Pistons, you know, get some college games, stuff like that. But I don't think people saw this new iteration of another career for Jalen Rose. He's doing NCAA, working for Turner, which is a win. I think he's going to get down with NBC on some NBA stuff. I'm just happy for Jalen. And I think that he's not only talented, he kind of has his hands on what's happening in pop culture, so he can intertwine that with real commentary. But I think the most important thing about Jalen Rose that a lot of people don't understand, I think Jalen Rose is really liked. He's well liked by a lot of people. People that matter. Even like Greeny on ESPN or other people, they will bring Jalen's name up. You know, my good friend Jalen Rose. And I'm going to tell you, I've been in those situations where people will literally be afraid to even say your name. You could be the best person in the world and your name never comes up. That's not the case with Jalen Rose. So I'm happy that, you know, he's still working. Looks like he's thriving. And it's a real good look. So I'm happy for him. The movie I want to tell you about is called The Assessment. And the movie stars Elizabeth Olsen, the non-twin, Alicia Vikander, who's been in like some spy movies, and she's British and I think a theater actress. She plays the pivotal role. Hamish Patel is the starring male actor. It's great to see that level of diversity in American films. You generally don't see a lot of it, but he plays a great role also. And basically, The Assessment kind of takes place in an apocalyptic era on Earth. It's not totally scientific, but clearly this is like the new beginning of something catastrophic that has taken place. You don't have a whole lot of visuals of what that looks like, but you use your imagination. AI and technology is really, really important to sustain life. So they're very conscious in terms of how they live, fresh air, they make all their own food, so on and so forth. One of the outcomes is you can't just arbitrarily have children. To have children, you have to go through this assessment process that lasts 1 week by this person who comes into your home and assesses you and your partner. You want to have children. Needless to say, madness ensues. And at the end of this period, they let you know whether or not you are eligible to have a child. And that's the premise, that's the foundation. I think it's pretty good. It's smartly done, an original idea. And if you like independent films, I would recommend The Assessment. All right. Vicky says, thank you for another great show, Frank. I hit the like button. You've supported me from day one, Vicky, and I mean, thank you so much. I admire you, and I thank you. And everybody else out there that supports the program, I really appreciate all of the support. And I was going to say that it's a good show. We've been on air now for an hour and 16 minutes. It feels like 30. This has really been easy, not hard at all. And it's because of the listeners, not because of me. It's because of the listeners. And I thank you. I love doing this show. And I can do it talking to myself, but to have people who I can share ideas with and bounce things off of and learn from is a true delight. So thank you once again. Next time I'll be on, we know I'll be on Sunday. Maybe I'll get on during the week. I don't know. But I look forward to doing the next In the Dungeon show. Thank you for all the support. The show is gaining popularity and more people are seeing it. And that's a good thing. So keep it up. Thank you. Let me do my thing and get out of here. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. My name is Frank Red. Have a great week. Hit the like button. Follow me on Twitter. And I'll talk to you next time. All right? Good night, everybody. Peace.